We're going to start out with NetScaler MobileStream. About a year ago, MobileStream was introduced. Okay, it consolidated features. We added new features that basically gave us a nice, secure mobile experience. Okay, and basically improved all of your web and web app access, even from fixed desktops. So this year, our mobility has gotten even better. So we have the multi-layer application optimization, okay, with lots of granular control. So we have mobile protocol acceleration. We're going to have nice performance over lossy and high latency links. We do offer intelligent multipath networking, okay, basically, so if we are leveraging wireless or cellular connectivity. We have optimized web content streaming for even faster downloads and renderings of your web content. We have per application and per user access management for end-to-end secure delivery. We have our built-in protocol and application visibility for compliance if you need to maintain your compliance, and we have extensible policies for both mobile threat and malware protection. Okay, so the enhancements that we have, okay, our mobile enhancements are, well, we're faster. We now fully support HTTP 2.0 on the gateway, as well as in other areas of the NetScaler. Okay, so for faster and more efficient delivery of all of your content. Okay, we have increased security. We've added new ciphers, new protocols, tighter authentication, as well as we've made it easier for users by increasing our federated identity features. So we're basically working on, with our MobileStream technologies, any web property owners, especially e-commerce. As we said, HTTP 2.0 is already appearing on devices. Speedy's been around for a while, but Web 2.0 actually exceeds Speedy in how it handles the delivery, your web content. Okay, we added our new ciphers in, and we have less passwords to remember with our federated identity. Okay, so what's new in our security? Okay, so we do support now, as of NetScaler 11, TLS version 1.1 and 1.2 on both the VPX and MPX FIPS platforms. We support ECDHE, which is elliptical curved Diffie-Hellman, so that we can more efficiently deliver your keys within your environment. We also have extended SAML support for a variety of different situations, and the NetScaler has the capacity to be both an identity provider or a service provider in your SAML implementation. And of course, SAML protocols include a variety of different bindings or profiles which basically handle your authentication. The NetScaler currently, or in the past, had only supported the service provider initiated model with a post binding. Now we've extended that out so we can evaluate the client request, and if the client is not already authenticated, we can redirect that client out to the identity provider. So authentication for SAML 2.0, okay, we support for, as a service provider, single log out and a redirect binding. As an identity provider, we can accept an unsigned request, send audience in response, specify the signature algorithm digest method, SHA, signing and digest, as well as the encryption. And so we've completely extended out our SAML environment. Now, when it comes to the new ciphers that we have, okay, as I said, we do support ECDHE on FIPS, ECDHE on backend for both the MPX and SDX appliances. We've added in AES, GCM, SHA2 on our VPX and our FIPS platforms. Okay, and of course we support cipher reordering, so you can basically work with your ciphers in a more intuitive way for your corporation. As far as the extension of protocols, I already mentioned that we have added on TLS 1.2, okay, in a variety of situations. Plus, we do recognize the TLS fallback SCSV, which of course is associated with the poodle level attack, right? It's a fake cipher. It tries to negotiate you down using this fake cipher to get you out of highly secure technologies. We recognize and can accommodate that as well. As far as our features go, we support SSL profiles now, allowing you to customize different SSL profiles for different areas of the NetScaler We support SAN certificates, auto cert key format detection, as well as DHE and ECDHE performance improvements within the environment. Okay, now let's move on to some of our TryScale enhancements. Of course, the NetScaler offers our TryScale technology, okay, which allows you to scale up, scale in, and scale out within the environment. Okay, and as we move forward with this technology, we keep getting better and better at it. So now what we've added in with our new TryScale technology is easier migrations from ACE, as well as being able to replicate your other vendor tenant or context solutions. So now what we can do is basically any of you who are Cisco ACE admins or SDN Cisco ACE adopters, we have a nice way to easily virtualize applications and provide per app load balancing, as well as application delivery controller services. Now the NetScaler, what we basically added in is the ability to use our NetScaler SDX with admin partitions. Okay, this is going to make supporting thousands of applications per appliance in an SDN world easier. So how did it used to work? Prior to partitioning, we had an admin, and they had access to all different areas of the NetScaler. So we have an admin here that's trying to handle all of your different tenants. Once we add in admin partitions, of course, you still have your big administrator, but now I can basically define admin partitions and assign administrative abilities to each of the individual soft partitions that we have within the environment. So now you can basically divvy up all of that workload to the administrators that are best suited to handle that. Some of our core load balancing enhancements. Okay, so with NetScaler 11, we did pick up some nice load balancing enhancements. So we now offer secure cookies. Of course, whenever we were doing cookie persistence on the NetScaler, we injected a cookie, but also included in that cookie was the vServer name, an IP address, a port number that might have potentially alerted you to information that you should not have just by reading the cookie. Now we offer secure persistent cookies, so we have a persistent service, and basically we secure those cookies so that you can no longer see that information. Okay, we have vServer sticky groups have been added. So anytime we want to use our vServer sticky groups, it's basically persistence is set on a load balancing group now. Okay, and accepted values of these persistence types is going to be source IP, cookie insert, and rule for those. Okay, we picked up some load balancing profiles. Okay, so we can basically set a set of profiles. A typical load balancing profile will be a set of parameters which could be bound to a vServer. Basically applying the config present in your load balancing profile to that vServers. Okay, so now basically we can set these parameters at a vServer level or at a profile level. Okay, based on the frequency of use, common settings across vServers, whether or not they're associated to some other parameter. Parameters which were present at the vServer level, any parameters that were only present at the global level can now be included at the vServer level. So, you know, HTTP only flag, use secured persistence cookie, cookie passphrase, this type of stuff that previously we had to set globally is now available inside our load balancing profiles and can be set at the load balancing level. Now, when it comes to these new load balancing profiles, you can either use user-defined ones and you can create your own profile and do whatever you want inside it, or you can use some of the predefined profiles, okay, which you can just go ahead, take a look, see if it meets your requirements, okay, and then assign it to your vServer. We also picked up some new DNS functionality. So first off, we did pick up the ability to do DNS checking disabled, CD flag within our DNS. We also picked up some nice DNS rewrite and responder capabilities. So we can basically send a DNS response with an empty answer section, okay, and header flags, or whatever value you want to include. We also have the capacity of dropping a DNS query should we see it using this functionality. We also have a complete DNS rewrite framework. Okay, so we can modify an answer section before sending a response to a client. Of course, on this one, where we're basically making a rewrite modification to a DNS response, we only support A records and the IPv6 version of A records. Okay, so we can also modify header bits before we send a response to a client, or modify header bits before sending the request to the backend DNS server. Okay, we also have increased our DNS auditing capabilities. Okay, so we've extended out our logging support. We're now going to facilitate logging of auditing responses to the client, auditing of our DNS clients, detection and prevention of DNS attacks will also be audited, and troubleshooting and error detections. Okay, so we basically finally have extended out GSLV for our environment. So previously on the NetScaler we had a single backup vServer. Now we can have a single backup vServer for a multi-site vServer. Okay, so the backup vServer will take traffic for all the primary vServers which actually go down, or if you have spillover defined, it will catch that traffic as well. Okay, additionally, we have the ability to add in content switching in front of our GSLV infrastructure. Again, with NetScaler 11, we've added content switching capabilities in a variety of areas, not just load balancing. Now we see it here with GSLV, and additionally also with the NetScaler Gateway feature. Now let's take a look at our advanced policies. So we have some policy enhancements for both cache redirection advanced policies. So we have policy-based logging is now included, compression, app flow, caching. We can add in responder, rewrite, content optimization, and app firewall. Okay, additionally, we have vServer wildcard SSL certs are now supported at the HTTP, SSL, and TCP levels. Okay, so let's look at some of our new capabilities. So we now have within our policies what's referred to as extension functions. This is going to allow us to extend our policies with scripted LUA. Okay, we've basically allowed you to use these policy extensions. So it's a new method for our policy language, okay, which of course would require typically another release cycle. We get higher performance when we start to use these extension functions. We've also increased our responder and HTTP callout, custom response codes, and reason. Okay, we have increased variables, so we now have both global and transaction-based scope for our variables. We have new Layer 7 supported protocols for RTSP and SIP. We have XPath for HTML body. Okay, we're picking up support for PPTP proxying, as well as L2 ACL net masking. So we can assign a MAC prefix or a wildcard bit for a range of different addresses. We also have added support for RNAT and INAT source port preservation. Okay, policy-based IPv6 routing, we've increased our capabilities with our tunnel select IPv6 traffic through an IPv4 GRE, okay, via our Cloud Bridge connector, and we also have VRRP interface tracking if we're using VRRP for load distribution within our NetScaler environment. So again, here we're seeing our admin partitions. Okay, I said before, it's allowing us to take advantage of our TriScale clustering. Okay, so for the enterprise, you might want to use admin partitions if you have IP overlapping or virtual routing, entity space separation, rate limiting per partition is going to be supported, one admin for multiple partitions. Okay, at the service provider level, this is going to help you out if you need GUI, CLI, and API separation. Configuring your SNMP separation, your audit log or web log separation, connection, TPUT memory separation, entity space separation, role-based access control within the partition itself, as well as, again, IP overlaps. Okay, in the cloud, most other enhancements are for the cloud, and they're all, of course, we support all of this API driven within our environment. So once again, we do support our TriScale clustering. Some of our new clustering functionality, our new clustering features that we have, we are now capable of doing layer 3 clustering across subnets. Okay, we're picking up FTP support within the cluster. Okay, bridge groups, dynamic routing for striped subnet IPs. If we want to stripe our subnet IPs across multiple nodes within the cluster, we are also going to offer partially striped or spotted configurations. Okay, so our node groups are used to define our spotted, particularly our striped configuration, so I can make an entity available only on certain nodes within the environment. Currently, our spotted or partially striped config is present for L3 and L4 entities. Okay, we now get our L4 node groups. Okay, so we've extended out. L4 entities have dynamic ownership now based on a strict setting. If we're doing strict no, okay, this can cause node group membership to change dynamically based on the view. Okay, node groups used for L3 configuration should have a static node membership set to a strict yes. Okay, so again, we're increasing our functionality within the environment, providing more support for high latency links. Okay, we can disable our own internal steering. Okay, for low latency links, we can do GRE tunneling for steering. Okay, and of course, we're picking up the flexibility to choose which nodes are handling what within the cluster. Okay, so again, we get our logical cluster across subnets. We have multi-site deployments now, and we can set ECMP mode in deployment only for our clusters. Some additional SDX improvements. First of all, we picked up SDX now supported on our software matrix. Okay, we have single-step upgrade of the entire SDX with a single image. Okay, we have intuitive progress displays. We have intelligent backup, so we have a single SDX bundle upgrade image, and then as well as we have our nice intelligent backup included. We have our new dashboard. So now we can see all of the visual shared resources in a single location. So I can see all my total consumed available CPUs, SSL cores, memory, bandwidth, instances, interfaces. We also see a depiction of the system health as well as a visual map of interface assignments, okay, within the SDX. We also get partial license allocation. So now we're going to have support for dynamic licensing to support on-demand allocation, okay, within our environment. This allows us to more efficiently use the licensing for customers as well as sharing of licenses across different deployments. And we've also picked up our new NetScaler Unified Gateway. Okay, so we're picking up a new methodology for working with our gateway. Okay, so of course traditional VPNs are still widely deployed. Okay, now that we're starting to see more people coming in with their own, with BYOD, mobility cloud. Okay, so now we're starting to see some new use cases in the environment. So this is an up and coming market. We have this nice opportunity for any XenApp and desktop customers to basically that have NetScaler Gateway to consolidate all of their point solutions. Okay, using Unified Gateway. So now with the new Unified Gateway, the remote access gateway problem, you can kind of see this here. Through our VPN, we're offering everything, but it's all over the place. So I have web apps and client server, smartphones, VDI, SaaS, and we've kind of got this fragmented solution in place to get people to where they need to be. With our new gateway solution, okay, the NetScaler is going to consolidate this all together. This feature extends our gateway connectivity to any web app within the environment through a single URL. So you got one single URL that everybody, no matter who they are, needs to connect to. Okay, we're going to have seamless single sign-on and sign-off. Single URL access can be configured for any kind of organizational apps, web apps, SaaS apps. We're going to fully support SAML for your single sign-on. Outlook, web access, and SharePoint are now available through our Unified Gateway as clientless applications, so you don't even need a client. Okay, we're going to offer load balanced applications served through the NetScaler load balancing vServers, as well as access to XenApp and XenDesktop published resources. So we're winning the race here with our new Unified Gateway because we have one URL. So this is certainly going to be your best strategy for any kind of XenApp, XenDesktop environments. So you're going to have one single URL for all applications and all access within your entire environment. So the new unified gateway is going to have support for Linux, Android, and iOS. We're going to have a highly customizable portal. Okay, so you can get in and configure your portal themes, as well as you can basically present a license agreement to your users before they come in through your portal. Okay, we support SSO across all applications. From a security perspective, we're going to have full VPN tunnels for iOS and Android to improve security. We're also going to maintain our per-app VPN tunnel for iOS, okay, when it needs connections into the back end. We're also going to add in SmartControl for our centralized management. And as well as our flexibility now, we've got one URL to provide consolidation to anything that you need access to. Okay, content switching allows one URL for all applications, no matter what they're looking for within your environment, and we have the flexibility to choose any device type from any location. So we're getting one-click access to all of the applications. SmartControl allows policy-based management decisions for ICA connections through the VPN. So now we can define our SmartControl policies. Okay, we can apply these at the session level to control a user's ICA environment and to further manage ICA connections with smart group sorting decisions. So new we have SmartControl with our unified gateway. Okay, so here you can see we are going to push through based on our policy settings, voice and audio, and we might block or throttle back file transfers. So we have simplified policy settings and enforcement at a single choke point within your network. Some of our additional gateway enhancements, we have a new web front as an alternative integration point for your XenApp and XenDesktop deployments. As I said previously, we do have clientless VPN support for Outlook Web Access 2013 and SharePoint 2013. We have our striped cluster capacity for NetScaler Gateway in ICA proxy mode. So if all you're doing is ICA proxy, you now have the benefits of a cluster. We offer portal customization where we can apply themes. We have the option to present a VPN user with our end user license agreement. Okay, portal themes and the license agreement can be bound to a VPN vServer, or I could bind it, of course, globally, and it would be presented to everybody. Some Insight Center enhancements. Okay, with Insight, we have improved scalability for multi-site deployments. Using a distributed system architecture, we can now do custom reporting, providing more real-time results and adjustable settings. We can export out to CSV. Okay, we can set thresholds for our alerting based on network conditions, as well as we've added in SLA management with proactive notifications to be sent out to administrators whenever an SLA would be breached. Some additional Insight enhancements, we have improved stability and support with session reliability, as well as Insight metrics and visibility into a dual hop or double hop configuration. So here's our NetScaler editions that we have. Everything that is listed in white is a new feature for NetScaler 11. So for the gateway, you see, of course, we have our mobile VPNs, we have our NetScaler standard, we've got our NetScaler platform appliance, Web Insight, IPv6 support, load balancing across a single data center. Okay, so now what's included with NetScaler Enterprise, you're going to pick up your unified gateway that's going to support your federated identity, your one URL, and your content switching so that you can have a single URL to access every application within your environment. Okay, and of course, stateless RDP proxies also included in the Enterprise edition. We have NetScaler Platinum. With this edition, you're going to pick up monitoring of your historical XenApp and XenDesktop traffic, application security from both external and internal attacks, as well as integrated caching capabilities. So again, with NetScaler 11, we're pushing a secure, integrated workspace. We're going to have smart access, providing granular device and application level policy access. Unlimited scalability with our unified gateway support. We're looking at about 35,000 users per appliance. We're getting improved performance for our workspace by enabling caching, SSL offload, compression, XenApp and desktop authentication. We've got some new load balancing local as well as load balancing global extensions and making efficient use and availability of our storefront as well as our Zen Mobile Device Manager servers. Of course, we still support the NetScaler connector for our active sync filtering, so the NetScaler can perform your active sync filtering prior to sending that off to your back-end Exchange servers. Okay, we have nice disaster recovery. We've extended out some of our GSLV functionality. We said where we can have a single backup for a multi-site deployment. Command Center is going to provide you with your integrated single pane of management and monitoring, and of course we've added in our HDX capabilities. And so now we're to the question and answer portion.
Okay, Lena, thank you very much. We do have several questions that have been submitted. We had a few questions regarding if the webinar was being recorded. I forgot to mention during the introduction that we have recorded the webinar, and we will be emailing out a link within the next 1 to 2 days, and you'll be able to watch the recording or forward it on to a coworker or a friend. So let me get started with some of the technical questions, Lena. The first question is, when will Storefront support TLS 1.2 through the gateway?
Now that I don't know. That's a roadmap question. So we might have to submit that one to me, and I'll see if I can't track that one down.
Okay, sounds good. Next question, how will single URL work for multiple authorizations for 2FA? And then in parentheses he has RSA, CAC, PK.
Okay, we still support, so the Unified Gateway itself, we can support multiple different authentication methods. We still support two-factor. We still support anything that is supported. We're going to be able to provide that authentication at the Unified Gateway level. So I'm not entirely sure if he has a more specific question.
Okay, I'll see if I get another instant message on that one. Next question. Does the Unified Gateway provide SSL VPN to,
yes.
Okay, to mobile devices using Citrix VPN?
Yes.
Okay, and he's making sure without the need to have a Zen Mobile solution.
So you're trying to provide mobility access through a VPN without Zen Mobile.
Yeah, that's what it looks like the question says.
Yeah, you should be fine.
Okay, and if you would like a little bit more detail on these answers, you can email myself after the webinar, and I'll forward the email over to Lena, and we'll get you, some more in-depth responses. Okay, next question. What is the most stable version to deploy at this time of NetScaler?
11's pretty stable. I don't know if he's looking for a specific build number.
I think it is a build that he's looking for, yeah. Most stable version of 11, yeah.
As far as I know, they're all pretty stable. I think you can find some bugs in specific builds by looking at the Citrix site and the release notes for which bugs, so it's going to be a little bit more dependent upon what you're doing with your particular build. Okay, so some of the builds ended up with some kind of little quirky bugs in them, but if you weren't doing those or using those features, you had no problem. So, yeah, I would check the Citrix site for that and the build release notes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, we have time for a few more, it looks like. Does the new SAML enhancement allow NetScaler to NetScaler user authentication? And an example that he gives is, for example, SharePoint is on NetScaler and OWA is on another. Can we have SAML, NetScaler to NetScaler authentication for a single login experience?
Yes, potentially you can. As long as you get it tiered correctly and you have your service providers and your identity providers set up correctly, we should be able to tier that right on through. I haven't done it, so... but I see no reason why it couldn't happen.
Does NetScaler 11 support SHA-2 from a backend perspective for SAML SSO? Presently, version 10 does not support that.
Yes, no, we picked up SHA2 with 11, and it should be supported everywhere.
There is a question about if NetScaler 11 training is available yet. Lena, would you just explain briefly the differences between the CNS 205 and CNS 207 courses?
Do you want the differences between 207 still on 10.5? 205 is now updated to NetScaler 11.
Well, sorry, assuming, so I'm sorry, the CNS 207 is going to be updated to version 11 on December 14th. So
yes.
Once they're both on version 11, could you explain why someone would take the 205 versus the 207?
Yes. So the 205 mainly focuses on our traffic management features and everything within kind of the traffic management realm. We don't take a look at the gateway, and we don't really look at how to load balance other Citrix products like XenApp, XenDesktop, Storefront, all of those. Those are included in the 207. So if the reason that you're working with your NetScaler is because you want to provide access to your other environment, XenApp, XenDesktop, you want to provide load balancing of Storefront, you want to provide access into your existing Citrix implementations, then you want to take the 207 course. If what you're looking for is just application delivery controller functionality, mainly focused under our traffic management, then you want the 205. Now there is some overlap between the 205 and 207, so the beginning about how you're going to implement the NetScaler, how you're going to network it, how to set up basic load balancing, how to set up GSLV, all of that is included in both classes, and then we kind of deviate out in the 207 class to provide you more information on how to get the NetScaler to work in your ICA, XenApp, XenDesktop type environments.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And if you'd like more information on either one of those courses, you can reply to the webinar invitation or just email myself, and mine's easy to remember. It's rich@layer8training.com. Okay, a couple more questions. Lena, will NetScaler 11 support Web Interface 5.4?
On the appliance? So that question is kind of incomplete. Are we looking at Web Interface on the NetScaler, or are you looking to load balance Web Interface with the NetScaler?
Yeah, that's all the detail that I have on that question. So
as far as will we support 5.4 on the appliance, I've heard that we are, but I haven't seen it yet, so I would have to research that a little bit more to see when the roadmap is on that. As far as load balancing, we absolutely would support load balancing of it.
Okay, great. Okay, is it true that Java is truly gone from NetScaler 11, so we don't have to deal with that anymore?
It is true. You can sleep at night now. Java's gone.
Okay, great. And,
all your dreams have come true.
okay, and there was a follow-up to the NetScaler 11 training regarding basic and advanced courses. So the two courses that Lena mentioned, the 205 and the 207, they are considered, well, I wouldn't even consider them basic, but basically, you know, they're for an individual that is, would you say, Lena, either brand new to NetScaler or updating their NetScaler version? And then,
right, so
yeah,
the 205 and the 207 focuses on core functionality.
Yeah, core, okay.
So we shouldn't really even call the advanced. It's not really so much advanced as it is more non-core functionality. So it's, all the functions we can do that wouldn't really be, everybody uses these all the time type features. These are more, some people use application firewall, so we're going to include it in advanced. So if you want to learn that, then you go to the advanced course. But both the 205 and 207 are core functionality classes that cover all of the core functionality.
Great, thank you. And the advanced course has not yet been updated to version 11. We would expect, hopefully toward the end of Q1 next year, that it will be updated to version 11, maybe sooner, but it hasn't been announced yet. Okay, a couple more questions while we have a few more minutes. Here's another question. We currently have issues when we use AppFlow with Insight on XenApp sessions. with session reliability enabled. Is this something that has been fixed in version 11?
It absolutely is.
Okay.
Yeah, that was why I even included that little HDX section in this slide deck. So they have corrected that. So you should not have that problem anymore.
Okay, great. All right, we currently have one URL for each access, one for CAC, one for RSA, etc. Please clarify if we can just have one for everything.
You can have one for everything. Basically, what we're doing with the new unified gateway with the content switching capabilities is we're throwing a content switcher out in front of the gateway. So the content switcher is going to be able to evaluate the incoming request. Okay, so whatever parameter you want it to evaluate against, it's going to match and then send you to the correct SSL VPN or to the correct gateway for your access. So absolutely, you're going to have one URL.
Okay, excellent. Lena, are you aware of any content or articles on Citrix where I can validate best practices for deploying Oracle WebLogic load balancing with NetScaler? that might be a tough one to answer.
Absolutely, and I can actually honestly answer that one.
Oh, hey, all right.
I haven't found anything, and I have been searching. So
okay.
I'm not even sure the feature is fully implemented at this point because I haven't attempted it. So at this point, I know that you're noticing that we've got, the Oracle monitor in place, and when I go to my load balancing, I can select Oracle as a type of load balancing for my V servers and stuff, but I have not found any documentation really. So I don't know if they're just kind of trying to slip it in behind the scenes, and then there'll be a big release of it, or if it's already functional and they're just kind of keeping it quiet until they've kind of worked out all the kinks. So I have not yet found any good documentation on Oracle. So if you find any, let me know, because I would love to see some.
Okay, excellent. Can Webfront be used instead of Storefront for a XenApp environment?
Yes, we have our new alternate Webfront. Yeah, it's not going to be quite as functional, so if you're using a lot of your storefront capabilities, then you're going to have to do a compare and contrast between the two and to determine what you want, but yes, we have the new Webfront.
Okay, great. All right, I'm just reading a comment about Java being gone. There's some happy people about that. Okay. There's one last question that I can handle. It says, is the NetScaler training offered remote? And so the answer to that is yes. About 70% of our students now attend training remotely, and Lena is teaching a course this week in San Francisco, but she also has several remote students logging into the training. So yes, it's a very popular way to attend training now. Again, if you would like more information, please feel free to either call us or email us. On the last slide here that you see, you can send an email to info@layer8training.com. That'll make its way to myself, and or you can replace the info with rich@layer8training.com. I want to thank Lena for taking time out of her schedule today to do this webinar. She presented this webinar on her lunch break during her NetScaler class that she's teaching in San Francisco. So Lena, we really appreciate it. Thanks for getting everyone more up to speed on NetScaler 11. And please stay tuned for future webinars by Layer 8. We are attempting to do a webinar once a month, and this month happened to be NetScaler. I believe our next webinar coming up in December will be XenApp, Zen Desktop related, and you'll see an invitation come across from us for the next webinar. So on behalf of Lena and Layer 8 Training, we thank you once again for attending our webinar, and we hope to see you in future webinars. Thank you very much.